Now that we've looked at an introduction of Greensock in Animate, I want us to actually go build something. So we're going to go build a slideshow. We'll put our base elements in Animate, and we'll use Greensock for the coding. So, because we're using Greensock, I'm going to go back to my starter files again. I'm going to come down to GSAP Basic and open that one. So I want to start with this one as opposed to the add, because the add has some capabilities in it that I do not want. I don't want the whole thing clickable. Because it's a slideshow, I need to be able to click and switch slides. I don't want it to image at half the size, double the resolution. I don't necessarily want the border around it. Different things like that. So let's start with our basic file here. Now, they have put some assets in place here. So let's clean our file up a little bit first. So the easiest way probably is to come down here and look at the layers in my timeline. I'm going to go grab the logo, the Greensock, and the subtitle layers, and I'm going to delete them. Okay, so you can see all of that going away. I'm on the background layer right now, which is locked. Let's unlock that. And I deleted the element that was on that. Also, I'm going to go to the JavaScript layer, click on frame 1, and let's go up and find my actions panel. And you see that there is some code in there. So let's get rid of the code. I don't want their code. We're starting fresh. So I can get rid of my actions panel. Actually, I'm going to drag it over here so I can find it again in a minute. If it's going to be helpful, it's not. Not cooperating. Okay, fine. I'll just go open it again. Okay, so I cleaned out the assets. I cleaned out the code. The last thing, I want to go to the library up here. And you can see the different pieces that they had here. So I am going to go remove all of this. Okay, so now the library is empty. There's nothing on my screen. I've cleaned out my layers of assets, and I've gone to the JavaScript layer and made sure that there is no code in there. So now I have a clean file. I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to say Save As. And I'm going to name this Chico Slideshow. And I am going to go put it in my GSAP Animate folder. Okay, so next to those other folders that were there. I'm going to save it right there. Okay, so now I've got a nice clean starting point. So I have given you some files to start with, and I want to go crop some of those. But first, actually, I'm looking at my file here. I'm looking at the size. They have it at 550 by 400. I think I'm going to switch this and go 600 by 500. Okay, so I'm 60 frames per second, 600 by 500, so that works for me. Recenter that, save it one more time. Okay, now I'm going to go to Photoshop. So I'm going to hide Animate. I have some images here. I gave you this folder of original images so you could go preview and see what is in here. So just some various images. I'm only going to do 2 right now. I think I want that one and that one. So you pick any 2 you want. So there's 2 that I want to use. I have already launched Photoshop over here, so I'm just going to grab these, drag them over onto my Photoshop icon, let them open up here. Okay, there are my images. So I want to take these and I want to crop them to 600 by 500. So I'm going to go grab my crop tool, come here to the top, 600 pixel by 500 pixel at 72 pixel per inch. Okay, so it gives me a display. I'm going to figure out how do I want this cropped. I think I want it like that. Do that. Hit return. It cropped it. Hit Command 1 to bring it back up to actual size. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to go up and do a Save As. And I am going to name it. Let's see, I'm going to keep my names really simple. This is Bidwell Park. I'm just going to name it Bidwell.jpg. I'm going to come out of the original images folder and just save it into the Chico images folder. Okay, so there is my first one. My second one is here. I'm still in my crop tool. So let me recrop this image. Okay, that looks good. Looks a tiny bit dark. I'm gonna just do a really quick adjustment. It looks a little better. Okay, and I'm gonna do a save as, and this is Kindle Hall. So I'm just gonna name it Kindle.jpg, and again save it in my Chico images folder. So Kindle.jpg, and save it there. So those I cropped down to 600 by 500. Now I need 2 thumbnails as well. So let's see, I still have my crop tool. So I want 100 pixels square. So I'm going to go change my dimensions up here to 100 by 100 at 72 pixels per inch. Let's zoom in a little bit and figure out what spot I want to show in my thumbnail. Maybe something like this. Anyway, you can pick whatever you want in your thumbnail. That's what I'm going to use in mine. Okay, there's my first thumbnail. Let's flip to my second one. And maybe I'll do just, it's kind of small. Do some greenery and some branches or something like that. Okay, anyway, you pick whatever you want. Enlarge a little bit, that's 400%, that's why it's looking pixelated. So I'm going to go up and do a save as. I named this Bidwell. I'm going to name it Bidwell-th. Again, save in my Chico Images folder. My second one, save as. This was Kindle. I'm going to name it Kindle-th for thumbnail. And save it there. There we go. Now I know where all of my images are. So again, for your assignment later, you will need to do more than 2 slides, but just for the sake of this demonstration, I'm only doing 2. Okay, we are done for now in Photoshop. Okay, so now I am back in Animate. I'm going to check what layer I'm on. I'm going to go to my background layer here. And I want to go ahead and import these images. So we go up to File, say Import, Import to Stage. And, okay, Original Images. This dropped me to a different location. I'm close though. Here, GSAP Animate, Chico Images. So I can select all 4 of these by using the Shift key. And I'm going to say Open. Now, you see how this went crooked? If you did that, I touched something. I can come right here and recenter it. It also re-straightens it. Okay, so here are all of my images. They're here, they're stacked. So you can move them to see them. Okay. Now, the thing is I put them all on the background layer, which I really don't want them all on the background layer. So in a moment, I am going to go put them on some individual layers. First thing I want to do, though, is I want to convert these each to symbols as movies. So I'm going to click the first one, do a right click or a control click, and I'm going to say Convert to Symbol. And I am going to call this, let's see, what naming do I want to use? Kindle Hall is on top. I'm going to use that for number 1. So I'm going to call this TH1 for thumbnail 1. Make sure that it is a movie clip, and say OK. Go to my second one, convert to symbol. I'm going to call it TH2. Make sure it's a movie clip, and say OK. Now go to the big images, right click on that one, convert it to a symbol, and I'm going to call this slide 1, making sure it's a movie clip. Go to the second one, convert it to a symbol, and call it slide 2, making sure it's a movie clip. Okay, so obviously the more images you have, you're going to need to do that to all of them. That's why I'm only doing 2 at the moment, though, so you don't have to watch me do a whole batch of them. Okay, so now I have them converted to symbols, set up as movie clips, and I can keep moving on. So I want to, let's see, I need to give them instance names. Let's do that right now. Because I made the movies, I can give them instance names. So I'm going to click here. So I called that one Slide 1. Up here under Properties, I give it an instance name. And you know what? I'm going to call it Slide 1 again. That works for me. Go to the Bidwell Park image. I'm going to call it Slide 2. The Kindle thumbnail. There we go. I'm going to call it TH1. And the last one, the Bidwell Park thumbnail, I'm going to call it TH2. Okay, so now I can click between them and watch the instance names up there, and it took all of my instance names. Very good. Now I want to put them all each on their own layer, or on appropriate layers. So I have this background layer that they're all on right now. I'm going to add 2 layers. I think I'll use the background layer, but I'm going to name the top one Thumbs for thumbnails. The next one I'm going to name, let's see, Kindle. I'm going to call it Kindle 1 just to remind me, or I'm going to call it 1 Kindle because Kindle was my number 1. My second one I'm going to call it 2 Bidwell because that's the numbering that I used on it. So that should work for me there. Okay, so now I want to put them on their appropriate layers. So I'm going to come up and grab my 2 thumbnails. I'm going to come up and do a cut. I'm going to go to my thumbnail layer and do a paste in place. Okay, so same spot, but you notice now they're on my thumbnail layer. Go grab my Kindle haul image. Go up and cut. Go to the Kindle layer. Paste in place. Last one, grab my Bidwell Park image. Oh, it's on the right layer. Very good. Okay, so that's all set. So, I've made them all symbols. I have given them instance names. I have spread them out on appropriate layers. Now I want to go ahead and get my images into position. So you could grab these and move them, okay, the appropriate place. But another way I could do it, I'm going to grab these 2 slides by clicking and dragging that way. And there is an align panel over here. And so this would align them horizontally, and I could align them vertically. But I also have this button down here to align to stage. So I'm going to align to stage and click those 2 align buttons. And you see it centered it both directions on the stage, which is where I want them. Okay, next I want to get the thumbnails, and I'm just going to kind of drag them down here to about where I want them. I want them just sitting along the bottom down here. See if I get those aligned. That looks pretty good. And then I think I'm going to add just one more element just to help thumbnails pop out just a little bit. Making sure I'm on the thumbnails layer, I'm going to come over and grab my rectangle tool. Let's go up and check the fill and stroke. I don't have a stroke, so that's good. On my fill, which doesn't want to select, that's being weird. Okay, let's go make it black. Problem is I want to do alpha. There we go. Hope your computer's not acting as weird as mine, and I'm going to make it 50%. Give it some transparency there. Okay, for some reason my stroke came back, so let's get rid of the stroke. Okay, no stroke, 50% black. Making sure I'm on the thumbnails layer. I'm going to draw a rectangle down here. Just kind of like that. Okay, so that just helps it stand out a little bit. Looks like I didn't quite get it. I can let it hang off the edges, that's okay. Okay, very good. So just to help them pop out just a little bit there, I'm going to put that in place. Okay, at this point I should save. I have not saved in a little bit. That'd probably be a good idea. Okay, so those are all of the pieces that are there. So now I could do a test again. So remember, we can go up to Control and we can say Test, or I've been doing a command return. And we can see in the browser, there it is. It's all built. Nothing works. I have no coding yet. Okay. So that's okay. Let's get rid of these as well. Okay, so my page is built, or my slideshow is built. All the elements are there, but I have no coding. So let's start our programming part now. So I need a layer for the actions, and I have this JS, this JavaScript layer on top here. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. That's where they had done their coding. I'm going to stick with that one right now. So we'll stay with that one. I'm going to go and click on frame 1, because that's where our code goes. And I'm going to go open my actions panel. Okay, here's my actions panel where my code actually is going to reside. So for some reason this doesn't want to let me make it any bigger, so we'll have to work with this. Make it a little taller. Okay, so my coding is going to go in here. Now we're going to go use that Tom's Animate tip sheet that I showed you. So let's go back over here. So there are just different pieces of code and hints and tips to keep you moving on projects. So what I want to do is I want to go find item 12. So look down the left-hand side, they're numbered. And here is number 12, create and call a function to initialize or reset a project. Okay, so I'm going to work on the initialization of it. So I want this code right over here on the side. I'm going to grab all this code. I'm going to copy it. And go back to Animate, and it goes right here in the action. So I'm going to paste. Now remember, these are comments. Anytime that it starts with 2 slashes, that's a comment. So you could remove those if you wanted to. We start off here creating a variable that represents the stage, okay? So that would be this, and then we're going to call it stage. So stage is our stage area, so just references that and lets us target it. Okay, and then we have this hide all function down here. So what we want to do is we want to hide all of the images to start. Not the thumbnails, but the main images, okay? So if we look through this, so it's called hide all, that's appropriate. This is set up to have some captions, has something built in for captions. We're not going to do any captions right now, so I'm going to delete that part. And we're just going to talk about the slides. So there's our, remember our tween max code, and it's a tween max 2. So it starts with our starting point and our CSS, and then we give it an ending point, okay? So this is referencing slide 1, which is what we called one of our main images, and 0 is the timing, so it's instantaneous. And then down here, let's see, they have set an X and a Y section on it. I think I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to change that to alpha 0. Okay, so that is going to, when it does the initialization, it's going to take the alpha to 0 on my images or make them transparent. So I've got another one right below it for slide 2. I'm going to do the same on this one. Alpha 0. So when you initialize, it makes both of my images transparent. You can't see anything there with them. Okay. Then directly below that, there's a comment that tells us this code right here runs the hide all. Okay, so it goes and it hides both of our slides. So if I had more slides, obviously I would be copying and pasting these over and over again for the appropriate number of slides that I have. But that is my initialization or my setup right there. So again, let's do a save and let's go do a test. And notice my slides are not showing now. Okay, so I have nothing displayed there to begin with. Okay, so that part is working. So next, I need to keep working here in my actions panel. I need to go get another piece of code. So coming back over to the tip sheet, what I need to do is I need to go find number 9. Here's number 9. Perform an action when a specific element is clicked. So what I want this to do is when I click on a thumbnail, I want it to display the appropriate image. Okay? So let's come over here and get the code. So select that and copy it. Come back over here. And let's see, this is going to be, I'll put a comment there in a second. I was going to say, I grabbed the wrong thing. Like, that code is very unfamiliar. So, pay attention to what you're checking. I grabbed it from 10. I read 9. Here's the code for 9 right here. Let's copy that. And let's go back and paste it in there. That's why it was looking so strange. Okay, so what this is going to do, this is going to display slide 1. So I'll give it a comment right there. Okay. So what we need to do at this point is I need to set this up to watch my first thumbnail, and when it's clicked, go and display slide 1. So the thing that it's watching, right here you see my button, my BTN, that's what we're watching. So I want it to watch thumbnail 1, which I named TH1. Okay, so I'll change that to TH1. Then, so watching TH1, I add a listener. Then when you click on it, it runs the function called my function. So because I have a couple different functions, let's change the name of this one. I'm going to change it to TH1 FUNC for function. TH1 func. Okay. And then right here, here's the function, so I need to make that be named the same. So TH1 FUNC. Okay, so when it's clicked on, run TH1 func. Here is the function TH1 func. Okay. And right now it's set up just to give us an alert saying that the button was clicked. Well, that's not useful. We don't want to have an alert. What we want to do is we actually want to see the slide. So the easiest way to do that is, let's look right here. Remember our tween max that makes it disappear? I could take this code and I can make it reappear. So I'm going to copy that code, come down here and replace the alert. So I want a tween max on slide 1, and I wanted to take it to alpha 1. So now display it. Okay? So that will display the slide when you click on the thumbnail. So let's repeat this because I have 2 of them. So let's grab the code right there. That displays slide 1. So my new one, so my comment needs to be slide 2. Instead of watching thumbnail 1, I watch thumbnail 2. My thumbnail 1 function becomes thumbnail 2 function. When I actually name the function, it becomes thumbnail 2 function here. And then it needs to make slide 2 appear, not slide 1. Okay, so that one changes, this one changes, that one changes, that one changes. All of the number 1s change to number 2s. So once it loads in my browser, I'm going to click. So again, I'm going to save, and let's shows up. Test. I'm going to click on thumbnail 1, and it shows up. So we're looking pretty good. Let's go back and click on thumbnail 2 again. Okay, I'm clicking on thumbnail 2 and I can't see image 2. It is actually working. It's displaying image 2, but it's behind image 1. So we have a little bit of a problem here. So the problem we have is that, one covers up the other one. So I need to take care of that. So let's jump back over into Animate. Because they're stacked this way, what I really need to do is when I click on a thumbnail, I need it to remove any slides that are in the way. I think the easiest way, I could come in here and so say when you click on 1, remove 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then show me 1 or something like that. But I think the easiest is going to be to tell it just to hide everything and then show me number 1. So fortunately we have a function that does that already. So my hide all function hides all of the slides. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come down here to my function and paste that. So it's watching thumbnail 1. When you click it, it runs this function that hides everything, and then it shows me slide 1. So we'll come do the same thing down here. That way you don't have to list all of the other slides, and for that matter, you don't have to come back and change your code if you add or remove slides. So now this time we're going to save again and go test. And now I click number 2 and it shows. I click number 1 and it shows. I click number 2 and it goes back to that. Okay, so that's all working okay for me. Just a little bit to wrap this up. I do want to go back And let's see, let's change on my tween max down here when it displays them. I'm going to change from 0 to 0.75 on both of these. And that way it will give me a little bit of effect when I do that. Okay, click on 1, click on 2. Now I don't really like, I kind of have this flash between them. So I kind of like how it fades in, but what I want to do is when they hide, I think I'm going to try the same timing on that. Let's see how that works out for me. Okay, so I did it up here, so the 0.75 there and there. This is where I put it a moment ago. Okay. Let's go preview that. Oh, I saw them fade away in the first place. That's funny. Okay, so that fades in. And then I get kind of a crossfade between them. I like that. That's the only funny thing is when it loads, I see them fade. I'm not real thrilled with that. So might need to go address that in the first place. I could just do an initial hide of everything and then start to run my functions. I think I would go back and do that. So anyway, I am going to save this, and now I have a functioning slideshow. All I really want to do is I want to go back and put these tween maxes in. I'm going to do an initial initialization that clears the screen. Then I'm going to keep this hide all function that has the timing on it. So anyway, there is a tutorial on how we can go about building a slideshow using Adobe Animate and Greensock for our functionality.